A weighted average or mean is slightly different to a standard arithmetic average. As we'll see in this video, when we look at these three test scores in a science class as an example. Now firstly, we could still work out a standard arithmetic average for these three tests. And this is what we would get if we add each test result together, divide it by the number of tests. The average for this student over all three tests is 78%. But this is with an arithmetic average where each test result has the same level of importance and the same weighting. But with these class tests, each test has its own individual weighting of importance. So in this situation, we look to work out a weighted average rather than a standard arithmetic average. And there is a weighted average formula that can help us to do this. And in this formula, the x values are the quantities that we're working out a weighted average of. For us here, a test result value, and the w values are the weighting of each test result, each quantity. And firstly, n is the number of x and w values we'll be summing up. We have three tests, so n for us here is 3. And if we consider what the x values are, we have 3 of them. And they are the test scores. So the first test, 82, 61 for the second test, and 91 was the score for the third test. And we'll also have corresponding weightings of each test. And our test weightings are here: 35%, 15%, and 50%. And these are our w values, our weightings. So we have x1 multiplied by w1 plus x2 multiplied by w2 plus x3 multiplied by w3. And below we add up all the weightings, all the w values. And these sums give us 28.7 plus 9.15 plus 45.5. And the weightings added up below sum to 1. This isn't always the case with weighted average examples, it just happens to be the case with this one. So this example effectively now amounts to summing the top line together to give us our weighted average, and what we get is 83.35%. So it turns out in this example with this student's test results that the weighted average is actually higher than the arithmetic average. And this is likely because they did very well on the third test, which had comfortably the heaviest weighting of importance of all three tests, being 50%. So this is how we can approach working out a weighted average when we are required to do so. We can also now look at one more example of working out a weighted average. And in this example, rather than school test results, we have the speed of cars. The number of cars drive down a road at different speeds over 1 hour. We have 6 cars at 55 miles per hour, 8 cars at 60 miles per hour, and 10 cars at 64 miles per hour. So to work out the overall average speed of the cars together, we need to work out a weighted average, as they are driving in different groups at different speeds. Like with the test scores example, we have 3 different quantities, so n again equals 3. Now again, x will represent the quantity that we're working out a weighted average for, and in our case it's the average speed. So x will represent a car speed, and w with the weighting, and the weight being how many cars at each speed there were. So w will be a corresponding car number, the number of cars. So for our formula, our x quantity values are the speeds. So first speed 55 miles per hour, second speed 60 miles per hour, and the third being 64. And the corresponding weights, 55 has 6 cars at that speed, 60 has 8 cars, and 64 miles per hour, its weighting is for 10. So now we have the data we can use to proceed working out the weighted average speed of the cars. So on the top line we have x1 multiplied by our w1, 55 times 6 plus 60 multiplied by 8 plus 64 multiplied by its weighting of 10. And the weightings added together below 6 plus 8 plus 10. And proceeding with these sums a bit further gives us, we have 330 plus 480 plus 640. This is all over 24. And when we work this out, we get, if we round it to 2 decimal places, we get an average speed of 60.42 miles per hour. So working out the weighted average, we have the average speed of all the cars that drove down the road in 1 hour, driving at their respective speeds, and the average is 60.42 miles per hour.